Welcome to Conversion Bible, powered by Growth Suite. You know that tool that helps Shopify store owners run really smart discount campaigns? You can test it for free on the Shopify App Store. But first, let's dive into why you're really here today. To crack the code on getting more sales from your Shopify store. And you know what that means. Tackling that checkout process and facing the beast of cart abandonment head on.
Yeah, you got it. Today we're going to debunk that myth that a 70% cart abandonment rate is just, the unavoidable cost of doing business online.
Okay, so 70%, that's like for every 10 shoppers adding items to their carts, only 3 actually follow through and buy. That's wild when you actually stop and think about it.
Yeah.
What's really going on in the minds of those 7 shoppers who bail?
Well, the book Shopify Checkout Optimization, From Cart to Confirmation, the Conversion Bible, digs into the psychology behind it. And one culprit that really stood out was decision fatigue.
Decision fatigue. Like when you've been scrolling and clicking for so long, your brain just gives up. I can definitely relate to that.
Exactly. Each extra form field, each additional step, it all adds up. In fact, the book cites a study that found 22% of shoppers abandon their carts just because the checkout process felt too long or too complicated.
So streamlining that process is key. And I remember the book had some really interesting examples of how to simplify without sacrificing crucial details, right?
Absolutely. It's about finding that sweet spot. For instance, you can combine the first and last name fields or auto-detect the city and state based on the zip code. And for those non-essential fields, just make them optional.
So it's almost like you're anticipating those little moments of friction and smoothing them out before the shopper even notices. But beyond streamlining, there's also the trust factor.
Yeah.
I mean, handing over your credit card info online can feel kind of risky.
Absolutely. Security concerns drive 19% of shoppers to abandon their carts, according to the book. And it's not just about having security measures in place, it's about visibly reassuring your customers.
Right? It's like, hey, we've got you covered. See these trust badges. We're legit. But what really stood out to me in the book was the emphasis on placing those trust signals strategically.
That's a really good point. Those security badges from reputable companies, your SSL certificate information, those familiar payment logos, all that they need to be visible and near those call to action buttons, not hidden away in some obscure corner of your site.
And it's not just security. Transparency about pricing is a big one, too.
Hmm.
I've definitely been guilty of abandoning a cart when those extra fees pop up at the last minute. Talk about a buzzkill.
Yeah. The book calls that price shock, and a surprising 48% of shoppers have abandoned carts because of it.
48%, wow. That's almost half. So the lesson here is to be upfront about all costs from the get-go. No hidden surprises.
Exactly. Display those shipping costs early on in the shopping journey. Maybe even consider offering a shipping calculator right there on the product page. And if you're going to offer free shipping, think about being transparent about that too. Maybe incorporate those costs into your product prices so everything feels really clear and straightforward.
It makes total sense. Transparency builds trust, and trust leads to conversions. Speaking of which, the book had some really interesting points about streamlining the checkout process itself.
Yeah, it all starts with a concise checkout flow. Ideally, 3 to 5 steps,
Yeah.
Shipping info, delivery method, payment, order review, confirmation, boom, done.
No unnecessary detours, just a smooth path to purchase. But what about those form fields? How do we strike that balance between getting the information we need and keeping things streamlined?
That's where the less is more principle comes in. Ask yourself, is this field absolutely necessary? If not, get rid of it. And the book had some really clever examples of how to cut down on fields without losing crucial information.
Like using inline field validation to catch errors as shoppers type. Instead of making them submit the form and then get hit with a bunch of error messages, it's all about making it as user-friendly as possible.
Precisely. And then there's that big debate around guest checkout. We've all been there. You just want to buy a single item, and the website forces you to create an account. Talk about a deal breaker.
And it turns out I'm not alone. The book mentioned that a whopping 25% of shoppers actually bail when they're forced to create an account.
Yeah, it's conversion killer for sure. So while offering guest checkout seems like the obvious solution, are there any downsides or opportunities we might miss by not encouraging account creation?
That's a really good question. What does the book recommend?
The book suggests offering guest checkout, but strategically highlighting the benefits of creating an account. Maybe offer a discount on their next purchase, or emphasize how much easier it is to track orders and manage returns when you have an account.
So it's about enticing them with the perks, not forcing their hand. What about prompting them to create an account after they've already made a purchase?
That's a fantastic strategy. It's called post-purchase account creation. Think about it. They've just bought from you, they're feeling good, and their information is already there. It's a prime opportunity to make it a no-brainer to create an account.
And while we're talking about options, we can't forget about payment flexibility. Not everyone wants to use a credit card, right?
Absolutely. Offering a limited selection of payment methods could be costing you sales. The book really emphasizes the importance of catering to different preferences.
I'm thinking digital wallets like Apple Pay and Google Pay, which seem to be getting more and more popular. And what about those buy now, pay later options like Affirm and Klarna?
Those are becoming increasingly important too, especially for bigger purchases. It gives shoppers more control over their budgets and can really reduce that barrier to entry. The key takeaway here is to provide a diverse range of options to make that checkout process as smooth and convenient as possible for everyone.
And of course, speaking of smooth and convenient, we can't forget about shipping. These days, fast and affordable shipping is practically an expectation, wouldn't you say?
It absolutely is. The book dives into the importance of not only offering multiple shipping speed options, but also providing those clear delivery date estimates. No one likes to be left wondering when their package will arrive.
And let's be real, that free shipping offer can be seriously tempting for shoppers. Is there any downside to offering free shipping?
Well, you do have to factor in those costs, but the book actually argues that free shipping, when done strategically, can not only reduce cart abandonment, but also increase your average order value.
Because who doesn't love adding a few more items to their cart to reach that free shipping threshold, right?
Exactly. It's a win-win. Now, beyond all these customer-facing elements, we also need to talk about the technical side of things, but
Yes. The behind-the-scenes magic that makes the whole checkout experience run smoothly. And you know what? That's a perfect place to pause for a moment.
we'll be back in just a moment to continue our deep dive into Shopify checkout optimization right here on Conversion Bible, powered by Growth Suite.
Welcome back to Conversion Bible. We're in the middle of unpacking some serious checkout optimization wisdom from Shopify checkout optimization, from cart to confirmation, the Conversion Bible.
Right, and we left off talking about the technical side of things, which, is something many store owners might overlook.
It's easy to get caught up in the design and the marketing, but a slow or glitchy checkout is just like the worst. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who has clicked away from a purchase because of it.
You are definitely not alone. The book actually reveals this pretty startling statistic. Every second of load time on your checkout page can cost you 7% in conversions.
7%. Seriously, that's a huge hit to your bottom line.
It really is. So what can we do to, speed things up? The book offers some practical tips. A lot of them just boil down to, optimizing your website's performance. Images are a big culprit. Make sure they're high quality, but optimize for the web so they don't slow things down.
Right, because no one wants to wait 5 minutes for a product image to load, even if it's a gorgeous high-res photo.
Exactly. Another tip is to minimize those unnecessary apps and scripts that might be running in the background. Sometimes less is more when it comes to website functionality. And of course, Shopify's built-in accelerated checkout feature can be a real game changer.
Speaking of game changers, the book also mentions lazy loading for content that's not immediately visible on the screen. Had to look that one up.
Yeah, it's a fantastic technique. It basically means that images and other content further down the page only load when they're needed, which can really improve those initial load times.
Okay, so we've tackled images, apps, and loading strategies. What about the, elephant in the room? Mobile optimization. It feels like everyone and their grandmother is shopping on their phones these days.
Yeah, more than half of all e-commerce traffic now comes from mobile devices. So, it's not just a trend, it's a reality. And the book really drives home the point that mobile optimization is not optional. It is essential for a successful online store.
I'm picturing those tiny little form fields and buttons that you have to pinch and zoom to even see. No wonder people abandon their carts.
Exactly. The book gives some great advice for designing a mobile-friendly checkout. Think larger buttons that are easy to tap with your thumb, streamlined forms that minimize scrolling, clear and concise error messages.
It's all about making it easy for people to complete their purchase, even on a smaller screen. And I loved the point the book made about testing the checkout experience on actual phones, because what looks great on a desktop might be a nightmare to navigate on a phone.
I couldn't agree more. And speaking of different devices, we also need to consider, cross-device compatibility. These days, people are shopping on their phones, their tablets, their laptops, often all within the same day.
It's true. I know I'm constantly switching between devices depending on like where I am and what I'm doing.
Hmm.
It's annoying when I have to, start the checkout process all over again just because I switched from my phone to my laptop.
Right. And that's where a seamless checkout experience comes in. The book advises making sure that the cart contents seamlessly transition between devices, that saved addresses and payment methods are accessible across all platforms.
It's like creating a unified checkout universe where shoppers can move freely between devices without any hiccups. I love it. Now, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about trust. We touched on this earlier, but I think it deserves a deeper dive.
Absolutely. Trust is foundational to any successful online business, especially, when it comes to the often sensitive nature of the checkout process.
We already talked about the importance of security badges and trust signals. What else can we do to build that sense of security and make shoppers feel comfortable handing over their personal information?
Well, one powerful tool that the book highlights is social proof. Showcasing those recent purchases or customer reviews, can go a long way in boosting confidence.
I've seen those little pop-up notifications that say, someone in city state just bought product name. Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly. It's a subtle but effective way to, show potential customers that other people trust your store and are making purchases. It plays on that inherent human desire to follow the crowd. But it's not just about flashing purchase notifications. The book also emphasizes the importance of transparency.
Like having those clear and easy to understand policies for things like returns, shipping, and guarantees.
Precisely. When shoppers feel like they know what to expect and that there are no hidden surprises, they're much more likely to feel comfortable completing their purchase.
It's like you're saying, hey, we're an open book. We've got nothing to hide. Which brings us to like the next hurdle, those pesky friction points in the checkout process. We talked about streamlining earlier, but I think it's worth revisiting.
Yeah, I agree. And the book cites some truly mind-blowing statistics about the impact of form fields on conversions. Did you know that reducing form fields from 11 to 4 can boost conversions by up to 120%?
120%? Are you kidding me? That's incredible.
It really is. It just highlights how crucial it is to, streamline those forms and eliminate any unnecessary fields. Every extra bit of information you ask for is a potential barrier to conversion.
Okay, so how do we strike that perfect balance between gathering the essential information and keeping things as streamlined as possible?
Well, the book recommends a few key strategies. First, eliminate any fields that aren't absolutely essential. Do you really need their birthday to sell them a pair of socks? Probably not. Second, combine related fields whenever possible. For example, you can have one field for their full name instead of separate fields for first and last name. Third, use those smart defaults we talked about earlier to pre-fill information whenever possible. And finally, for goodness sake, implement address verification to prevent those frustrating errors.
Errors are a huge pain point. We've all been there, right? You fill out a form, you hit submit, and then you get bombarded with all these vague error messages that leave you feeling lost and confused.
Yeah, it's the worst. And the book actually provides some really great guidance on user-friendly error handling. Think clear, specific error messages that actually explain what went wrong and how to fix it. And just as important, don't make the shopper re-enter all their information if they just make a single mistake. Persistent data is a lifesaver in those situations.
Speaking of lifesavers, another friction point that often gets overlooked is the lack of progress indicators in the checkout process. I personally find it reassuring to know where I am in the process, how many steps are left, and roughly how long it's going to take.
Absolutely. It's all about managing expectations and reducing anxiety. A simple progress bar or, just some numbered steps can go a long way toward keeping those shoppers engaged and moving forward.
Okay, so we've streamlined the process, we've built trust, we've smoothed out those friction points. What's next? How do we give those shoppers that extra little nudge to actually complete their purchase?
Right. That's where incentives and psychological triggers come in. And the book has a whole section on how to leverage these effectively.
Oh, this sounds interesting. I'm all ears.
Well, one of the most powerful psychological triggers is the fear of missing out, or FOMO, as the kids call it these days. The book explores the power of urgency and scarcity to motivate action.
I know it works on me. Those limited time offers, low stock warnings, order cutoff times, all that they create a sense of urgency that makes me want to buy now before it's too late.
Exactly. But it's crucial to use these tactics ethically, right? No false scarcity, no misleading timers. Authenticity is key.
Right? Don't try to trick people into buying something they don't need. And of course, we can't forget about the good old-fashioned power of discounts and promotions. I mean, who doesn't love a good deal?
It's true. The book actually states that a whopping 62% of U.S. shoppers hunt for promo codes before completing a purchase. So, strategic discounts can be a real game changer.
There are so many creative ways to, incentivize those purchases. Exit intent offers that pop up when someone's about to abandon their cart, free shipping thresholds, bundle discounts. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
And then there are upsells. The checkout is the perfect opportunity to increase order value by offering, relevant and genuinely helpful additions to the purchase.
Like those one-click add-ons, frequently brought together recommendations or protection plans. I've definitely fallen for those a few times myself.
Right. Done right, upsells can enhance the customer experience and boost your bottom line. It's all about finding those products or services that complement the original purchase and add, genuine value.
But I can also see how upsells could backfire if they're not done well. No one wants to feel like they're being tricked into spending more money.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance. Okay, so the customer has finally clicked that complete purchase button. We're done, right?
Wait, there's more. I thought that was the finish line.
Not quite. The customer journey doesn't end at checkout. In fact, what happens after the sale can be just as important as what happens before.
Right. The book talks about post-purchase optimization. It's all about creating a positive, lasting impression and, encouraging repeat business. So what does that actually look like in practice?
Well, that order confirmation page, that's your chance to shine, right? It's more than just a receipt. It's an opportunity to reassure the customer that their order went through, provide all the important details, and set, clear expectations for shipping and delivery.
It's also a chance to say thank you.
Yeah.
Right? A little bit of gratitude can go a long way.
Absolutely. And you can even, slip in some relevant upsells or cross-sells since, they're already feeling good about their purchase and might be open to adding more to their cart.
That makes sense. But what about after they've, left the checkout page? How do we stay top of mind and keep them engaged?
Email marketing is key here. A well-designed follow-up sequence can keep those customers, informed and excited about their purchase.
So we're talking, order confirmation, shipping notifications, delivery updates, and maybe a follow-up email to make sure they're satisfied with their purchase.
Exactly. But you can go above and beyond with those emails, too. You can request a review, offer a discount on their next purchase, or share valuable content related to their interests. Personalization is key here. Use their name, reference the products they bought, and tailor those recommendations to their individual preferences. It makes a huge difference.
It's like you're saying, hey, we're not just a faceless corporation. We actually care about you and want to make sure you're happy with your experience.
Yeah.
And you know what else occurred to me? This is the perfect time to encourage those guest checkout users to create an account.
You read my mind. They've already purchased from you once, so they're more likely to see the value in creating an account for, future purchases. Offer one-click registration, highlight the benefits like order tracking, exclusive discounts, faster checkout, make it a no-brainer.
Wow. We've covered so much ground today. From the psychology of cart abandonment to streamlining checkout processes, technical optimization, trust building, friction reduction, incentives, and post-purchase strategies, it's a lot to take in.
It is. But remember, checkout optimization isn't, a one-time project. It's an ongoing process of testing, measuring, and refining.
Which brings us to our final topic for today. The all-important world of testing and optimization. After all, what good is all this knowledge if we don't know what's actually working?
Exactly. We need to know what's working, what's not, and how we can continuously improve, the checkout experience to maximize those conversions.
So what are the key metrics we should be tracking? I'm guessing it goes beyond just looking at the overall conversion rate.
You're absolutely right. The book highlights several important metrics to keep an eye on. Of course, there's the checkout abandonment rate, but you also want to look at, the conversion rate by device, the average time to completion, step-by-step drop-off rates, payment method usage, and error rates. It's all about gathering the data that tells you where those pain points are and what's preventing those conversions.
And once we have that data, we can start testing different approaches to see what resonates best with our customers. The book talks a lot about A/B testing. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. A/B testing is simply comparing two different versions of something to see which one performs better. In the context of checkout optimization, you might test different form layouts, button colors, trust signal placements, upsell offers. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
It's like a scientific experiment for your checkout process.
Yeah.
But I imagine it can get overwhelming trying to test everything all at once.
Yeah. That's why it's important to test one element at a time. That way, you can clearly identify what's causing any changes in your results. And don't underestimate the power of, user testing and feedback collection. Numbers tell part of the story, but there's no substitute for direct insights from your customers.
So we're talking about actually observing people going through the checkout process, sending out those post-purchase surveys, and really listening to what our customer service team is hearing. Those qualitative insights can be incredibly valuable.
They really can. And remember, look for patterns in the feedback. If multiple customers are mentioning the same issue, that's a clear signal that, something needs to be addressed.
It's all about connecting the dots between the data and, the human experience.
Yeah.
So much good information here. I feel like we've only scratched the surface of what's possible with checkout optimization.
Yeah, it really is a treasure trove of wisdom, but sometimes it's helpful to, see these strategies in action, right?
Right.
That's why the book includes some inspiring case studies of successful Shopify checkout optimizations.
Oh, I love a good case study. Tell me more.
Well, one example that really stood out to me was Nike. They managed to reduce their checkout abandonment rate by a whopping 20% just by implementing some of the best practices we've been discussing today.
Wow, 20%. That's a significant improvement.
Yeah.
What about some smaller brands? Does the book offer any examples of those?
Absolutely. They feature a clothing brand called Taylor Stitch, and they saw a 17% increase in mobile conversions and a 34% increase in average order value through strategic upsells and a streamlined checkout process.
It's inspiring to see that these strategies work, not just in theory, but in like real world scenarios.
Exactly. And the key takeaways from these case studies are pretty clear. Simplicity, user testing, mobile-first design, and addressing those customer pain points. If you focus on creating, a smooth, intuitive, and enjoyable checkout experience, those conversions will follow.
But it's important to remember that the world of e-commerce is constantly evolving. What works today might not work tomorrow. So, we need to stay ahead of the curve.
You're absolutely right. The book touches on some, fascinating emerging technologies that could shape the future of checkout optimization. AI, machine learning, new payment technologies, increased personalization. It's an exciting time to be in e-commerce.
It really is. Can you give us a sneak peek into what that future might look like?
Well, imagine AI-powered checkout flows that adapt to, each individual shopper's behavior and preferences.
Wow, that sounds incredibly personalized. Like the checkout experience is tailor-made for each customer.
Exactly. And think about, the potential of smart form filling that predicts customer information with minimal input, making the whole process, faster and more convenient. Or advanced fraud detection that can identify and prevent fraudulent transactions without, adding unnecessary friction to the checkout process.
It's like we're moving towards a future where the checkout process is practically invisible, just a seamless and effortless part of the shopping experience.
That's the dream, right? And then there are, those exciting developments in payment technologies, biometric authentication, think fingerprint or face recognition, could replace those pesky passwords altogether.
Talk about a futuristic shopping experience. What about cryptocurrency? I keep hearing about that, but I don't really understand how it works.
It's still, early days, but cryptocurrency is gaining traction. We could see more and more stores accepting Bitcoin and other digital currencies as payment in the near future.
And what about voice-activated purchasing? That sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It's closer than you think. Imagine being able to, add items to your cart and complete your purchase using just your voice. The possibilities are truly mind-boggling. But beyond the, flashy technology, the book predicts a future where personalization takes center stage. Imagine customized shipping options, tailored to each customer's location and preferences, or individualized discounts based on their purchase history and loyalty.
And those product recommendations, forget about those generic suggestions. We're talking hyper-targeted recommendations based on individual browsing behavior and past purchases.
Exactly. It's all about creating, a truly personalized and unique checkout experience for every single shopper.
So as we can see, the world of checkout optimization is constantly evolving. But even as the technology changes, those core principles of simplicity, trust, and value will always remain important.
They will. So keep learning, keep experimenting, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible because at the end of the day, it's all about creating a checkout experience that delights your customers and, drives those sales.
And with the right strategies and a commitment to continuous improvement, you can achieve just that.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to remind everyone about the tool that powers this very podcast, Growth Suite. It helps Shopify merchants like you optimize not just your checkout process, but your entire customer journey.
And the best part, you can test it out for free on your Shopify store. Just head over to the Shopify App Store and give it a try. You won't regret it.
So what are you waiting for? Start optimizing your checkout today and watch those sales soar. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Shopify checkout optimization, from cart to confirmation the conversion Bible. We hope you found it insightful, inspiring, and maybe even a little bit entertaining. Until next time, happy optimizing.
Welcome back to Conversion Bible. We've been unpacking tons of insights from Shopify checkout optimization, from cart to confirmation the conversion Bible. But before we wrap things up, I thought it'd be fun to take a quick peek into the crystal ball and see what the future might hold for checkout optimization.
Ooh, I love this part. The world of e-commerce is always changing, so it's fascinating to speculate on what's coming next.
Exactly. And the book hints at some, truly game-changing trends that could revolutionize the whole checkout experience in the years to come. What really caught my eye was the talk about AI-powered checkout.
Right. AI has the potential to, personalize the entire checkout flow, adapting to each shopper's behavior and preferences, in real time.
So instead of a one-size-fits-all checkout, each shopper gets a completely unique experience tailored to them.
Exactly. And think about, smart form filling that predicts customer information with, minimal input. That would make the whole process so much faster and more convenient.
Yeah, I can see how that would reduce friction. And the book also mentioned advanced fraud detection as a key benefit of using AI.
That's right. AI can help identify and prevent fraudulent transactions without adding all those extra steps, or hoops for legitimate customers to jump through.
It's like having a super smart security guard working behind the scenes to keep everything, safe and secure.
Yeah.
But beyond AI, the book also explored some really, interesting innovations in payment technologies.
Oh, yeah. Things are changing rapidly in that area. Biometric authentication, for example, using your fingerprint or face recognition instead of passwords, that could become the norm.
That would be a total game changer. No more trying to remember a million different passwords.
Okay.
What about cryptocurrency? Is that something we should be, paying attention to?
It's definitely, gaining momentum. We may see more and more stores accepting Bitcoin and other digital currencies as payment options in the coming years.
Wow, so many possibilities. It's almost like, science fiction becoming reality. And the book also discussed voice-activated purchasing. Is that something we're likely to see, anytime soon?
Imagine being able to add items to your cart and, complete your purchase using just your voice. It's closer than you think.
That would truly transform the way we shop online. But beyond, the technology itself, what really struck me was the book's emphasis on the increasing importance of personalization.
Absolutely. The future of checkout optimization is all about, creating a truly personalized and unique experience for every single shopper.
I'm picturing customized shipping options based on, the customer's location and preferences, individualized discounts based on their purchase history, and hyper-targeted product recommendations tailored to their, individual browsing behavior.
Exactly. It's all about making the customer feel, seen and understood and providing a checkout experience that feels personalized and relevant to them.
So it's clear that the world of checkout optimization is, constantly evolving. But what's reassuring is that even as the technology changes, those core principles, simplicity, trust, and value, will always remain, super important.
They will. So keep learning, keep experimenting, and keep pushing those boundaries of what's possible because, at the end of the day, it's all about creating a checkout experience that delights your customers and drives those sales.
And with the right strategies and a commitment to continuous improvement, you can absolutely achieve just that. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into Shopify checkout optimization, from cart to confirmation the conversion Bible. We hope you found it insightful, inspiring, and maybe even a little bit entertaining.
And don't forget about Growth Suite, the tool that powers this podcast. Growth Suite can help you optimize not just your checkout process, but, your entire customer journey.
And the best part is you can test it out for free on your Shopify store. Just head over to the Shopify App Store and give it a try. You won't regret it.
So what are you waiting for? Start optimizing your checkout today and watch those sales soar. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Shopify checkout optimization. We hope you found it insightful, inspiring, and maybe even a little bit entertaining. Until next time, happy optimizing.